Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Miss J here, and I am so excited to get ready for the start of a new year. I hope you all had a great break. I am personally excited to get back into the swing of things, and I hope you all too. So I just wanted to do a quick slide of what we covered this year. I'm sure every day over your great 2-week break you were thinking like, I gotta review all the main concepts in government. What have we learned this semester? But in case you didn't, or by chance, maybe you forgot a topic or two, I just want to cover what we covered this semester because you are going to have your semester exam. So making sure that you are familiar with all of the concepts that we covered. So, what we did this past semester, we looked really in depth at the First and Second Amendments. And then if you remember, we did Amendments 3 through 8 on those ed puzzles. And then you looked at the presidential amendments, which along with that was the presidential line of succession. So that was who would become president if the president could no longer serve because of death or an illness. You also looked at the progressive amendments, and then you finished off the rest of the amendments, so 1 through 27 now. You also looked really in depth then after finishing them off with the death penalty with the 8th Amendment. You wrote that paper on the death by fire video. And then this is when we've kind of moved into what we're doing right now. We're looking at the legislative branch, so we looked at the House versus Senate, we looked a lot at current Congress members, and then this past week was how a bill became a law. So if any of those are feeling really unfamiliar to you and you don't remember them at all, go back to the week that we covered it. You can watch the review videos, look at the assignments, make sure that you were all caught up and ready to go for these semester exams. So the bill becomes a law really goes into our week 15 review, which was how a bill becomes a law. Amazing. I don't know about you all, but it's one of those topics that, you kind of hear a lot about. You hear about it in the news. But for me, I've always been like, I have to really refresh myself on how a bill becomes a law. So the more we can, really ingrain this in your mind, the better. So you don't have to quite look back so much when you do hear about it and see it in the news. So I broke it down into steps. So step 1, a bill is drafted. So a representative or a senator will draft a bill. It depends upon where the bill is being presented. Remember, it can be presented either in the Senate or it can be presented in the House of Representatives. So if it's being presented in the House of Representatives, a representative will draft it. If it's being presented in the Senate, a senator will draft it. And the way this comes about, it comes from their own agenda from listening to citizens, advocacy groups, or special interest groups. And then that person representing the bill becomes the sponsor. So step 1, it's just drafted. And step 2, a bill is introduced into the floor. So it kind of depends upon which branch of Congress that is being introduced into the floor again. So remember, representatives will present in the House and senators present in the Senate. And in the House of Representatives, remember, this is the very structured branch of Congress. So the Speaker of the House will decide what bills are going to be introduced and in what order. So then we move on to step 3. So after this, depending on what side it is introduced into, the bill will be assigned to a committee. So a committee is a specialized group in Congress that would have some sort of interest that the bill has in it. So if you are, writing a bill about farming, it would be presented to the Agricultural Committee. So the committee that it goes to usually has to do with what kind of bill is being presented. And so then the committee reviews the bill and it holds hearings to gain more opinions and perspectives on the bill. And the committee is the first place for a bill to die. So after it's been presented, this is the first opportunity for it to die. So if a committee decides not to do anything with the bill, it dies, and that's where it ends. But let's say the committee likes it. They keep going with it, they make amendments, they move on. So the bill doesn't die. So then it moves on to step 4. Subcommittees will review the bill. So after committees review the bill, it is passed on to a subcommittee. And subcommittees fall under committees, and they're just more specialized, more centralized groups on the bill. People are going to have even more knowledge about this kind of thing, so it can make sure that everything in the bill makes sense and is actually really helpful. And changes can be made to the bill, and those are called amendments. And so then after this, it goes on to step 5. It's called committee markups are created. And so this is just the committee decide what amendments they're going to keep in the bill, which ones they're going to get rid of. And this is where 2 things can happen. The committee votes to present the bill to the floor. If they vote yes, awesome. The bill goes to the floor. It keeps on living. If the committee does not vote to present the bill to the floor, that means it would die. So there's another opportunity for the bill to die. Nothing else would happen with it. Step 6, a bill is voted on by the whole chamber. So after it leaves the committee, it goes back to the whole chamber, and either all the senators or all the representatives get the option to vote on it. Just depends upon which side of Congress it is being introduced into. Whichever side it is in, the whole group of them get to vote. So they all get to cast a vote. If majority vote yes, then hooray, the bill lives and it moves on to the next step. If they vote no, again, the bill dies. So if they vote yes, they move on to step 7, and the bill moves to the opposite chamber. So this is what I've been talking about. I said it either starts in the House or the Senate, but it needs to be heard in both. So then it moves to the one that it hasn't been heard in yet. And steps 2 through 6 are completed in the opposite house. So again, the bill is introduced, it is assigned to a committee, committees and subcommittees review it, amendments are added, the committees vote, and the bill moves to the floor and the whole chamber votes. So this gives a whole lot of opportunities for the bill to die again. The bill can die in committee, it can die when the committee votes to whether send it back to the floor, and then the whole chamber can vote no, and it can die again. So lots of opportunities for the bill to die. So this is why you'll see a lot of things not happening with bills often. But let's say it gets through that, and the bill passes through both the House and the Senate. Woohoo! It made it through all those opportunities for it to die. It is now headed to the president. So the president has options. The president can approve the bill, the president can veto a bill, or the president can ignore the bill. So let's go into those. If the president approves the bill, awesome, it becomes a law. If the president vetoes a bill, there's kind of 2 things that can happen. The bill is dead, or it can return back to Congress, and Congress can re-vote on the bill, and if they get a 2/3 majority vote, then it will override the veto. So that's one of those checks and balances. The president can say, no, I don't want it, but if 2/3 of Congress says, we do, it gets rid of that veto. Or the president ignores the bill. Again, there is 2 options. So if Congress stays in session during that time when the president ignores it, after 10 days, that bill becomes a law. However, if Congress does not stay in session after 10 days, that bill dies, and that's called a pocket veto. It's just kind of a fancy term for that. So, let's review again. Ways a bill can die. If a committee decides not to do anything with the assigned bill, it dies. If the committee votes against introducing the bill to the floor, again it dies. If the chamber votes no on the bill, if the bill moves to the opposite chamber, and all of the above can happen again. And if the president vetoes a bill, it can die again, or a pocket veto can occur. So as you can see, passing a bill is very complex. There's a lot of opportunities for nothing to happen with the bill, and this is why it is such like a specialized process. You know, there's so many things that go into it. Congressmen and women are trying very hard in order to get these bills passed, which means they have to take a lot of things into consideration to make sure it doesn't die at any of those steps and times. It's a very tedious process. And it involves both Congress and the president. If you have any questions over that, I know it's been a while since we looked at how a bill becomes a law. I personally love the Schoolhouse Rock video. I've watched it, I feel like, every year in school. I even watched it in college. In my college government classes, they play it. It's just a fun little video, fun review one as well. But please reach out if you have any questions about how a bill becomes a law, your upcoming semester final, or anything like that. We'd be more than happy to help. Happy to be back in session, and can't wait to see all of you guys' hard work again.